Hey guys, Alex here with this Cobb house, and I hope you all are doing well. I've had a lot of questions come in recently about Cobb, earth walls, and 5G. So this video is for people who have an interest in building a home that's able to either block 5G, reduce 5G frequencies, or people with electrical sensitivities in general. So just a little disclaimer here, I'm not an authority on wireless technology or 5G, but this is just a bit of research I've done, and I think it'll at least help you, maybe lead you in the right direction if you're just getting started. So the major difference that I've discovered between the lower generations, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G is 5G has a higher frequency. So the advantage, if you're trying to block 5G into your home, the advantage is that higher frequency has a much harder time actually penetrating through walls. And so I have some data here which I'm going to go through and give you some examples of that. But what I've found basically is the 5G has a higher frequency, and so they have to be placed, the transmitters have to be placed a lot closer. So you might go through your neighborhood and start seeing them every 500 meters or so on street lights and things like that. Because that frequency is so high, it has to go from transmitter to transmitter in a shorter distance, as opposed to 4G and before that. So 5G networks do not penetrate solid objects such as walls nearly as well as 2.4 gigahertz signals. This can limit an access point's reach inside buildings like homes and offices, where many walls may come between a wireless antenna and the user. So now I'm going to go through different materials and sort of the levels of attenuation or blockage that they do. So glass, actually, this one's interesting because a lot of people, they think if you go walk up to a window in a building, you're going to get a better signal on your phone. It's actually kind of the opposite, because glass actually balances and redirects these wireless signals. And so if you're trying to prevent these signals from entering your home, you can still have glass windows, but it says here double paned or triple paned windows are going to reflect the signal much more. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, if we're getting into building materials as far as the walls go, most conventional construction today for homes, at least in the US, are made with sheetrock and insulation. So sheetrock is one of the lower blocking agents for cell phone signals, which makes sense. It's not extremely dense material, so even your sheetrock is going to do some blockage, but not very much. Now, if we look at plywood, solid wood, and trees around the house, we're going to increase that that wireless signal blockage. So plywood, which covers most conventional homes, like pretty much wraps them, reduces 3G and 4G networks up to -6 decibels. Reduction is even higher at -9 decibels on 5G networks, because the 5G networks have a higher frequency and don't penetrate objects as easily. So this is going to come to my main point with Cobb here later on, and earth materials. And yeah, this number fluctuates depending on the thickness of the plywood or whatever wood, and all wood slows down a wireless signal. The thicker the wood, the more it will disrupt cell phone signal strength. Okay, and then trees do the same thing. So you can have trees around your home. Now we're getting into brick. So thinking of brick, we're getting a little bit more to what Cobb or rammed earth would be like. So brick Though incredibly sturdy against the elements, brick is one of the top materials for blocking the signal. The mere thickness of the wall, a brick wall, combined with the density of the spilling material, can block up to a whopping negative 28 decibels. Now if you compare that to the sheetrock, let's see, about negative 2 decibels. Yeah, so that's a big difference between sheetrock and brick. Now metal, I found this was interesting as well. Makes sense. Metal is the top cell phone signal disruptor and can route the signals away from the house. Now what happens is, what you might strategize if you're trying to block these signals is to make your roof make a metal roof. Rather the exterior finish of the roof as metal as opposed to things like shingles, because that's going to redirect these signals away from your house. Can actually make the inside of your house a dead zone to signals. And it says here ratings can drop as low as negative 32 to negative 50 decibels. So that's pretty significant. And let me just go through these conventional materials here again. So we have drywall, half-inch drywall is going to reduce by about negative 2 decibels. Half-inch OSB plywood, about negative 3 to 5 decibels. Now we got brick, which is going to be about negative 7 to negative 15 decibels, and then 6-inch concrete wall. Now concrete is very similar to cob and rammed earth. It's pretty much, it's very similar in composition. You've got gravel and sand, and then a binder. So a 6-inch concrete wall is going to block 10 to 20 decibels. So that's kind of the conventional data that I was able to find. Now if you put all that together, and I mean that kind of makes sense. The thicker the wall, the more reduction in that signal, especially with 5G, because it's got that higher frequency. It can't penetrate through solid objects as well. So when we're talking about cob or rammed earth, typically a cob wall is at least 12 inches thick. So if you look at a 6-inch concrete wall, can have up to negative 20 decibel reduction. Imagine if you have a 12 to 18 inch thick to 24 inch thick cob wall. It's basically the same material as concrete in a lot of ways as far as the ability to reduce the signal, I'm sure. So think about that. If you want to build a structure that's going to block 5G or wireless signals, if you have electrical sensitivities or just want to block electrical radiation, EMF waves, having thick walls is definitely to your advantage, and that's what cob is all about. Making a thick cob wall, you get all the advantages of the material, the load bearing, the thermal mass. That's the way to go. I never recommend thin walls for cob or rammed earth. Nothing below 12 inches. 12 inches is like the very minimum that I would recommend. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. If you're trying to block 5G for whatever reason, you may have cob, earthen materials, rammed earth. These are like I'd say the perfect material to go with. And we're still dealing with coding issues, but if you're trying to get away from 5G, it makes sense to move to a rural county anyway, and that's where you're going to have a more easy time building these alternative building materials with cob and rammed earth. So I hope that makes sense to you all, at least for you all who are interested in that. So that's pretty much all I've found, and thanks again everybody for all your support through these hard times. I really appreciate it. And if you're stuck in your house and you want something to do if you want to learn how to build with cob and rammed earth. I have my online courses. I'll leave a link below. There's over 16 hours of online lessons I've made detailing every step of the process, and so now is maybe a good time, if you're interested, to go check that out. It's really easy. Just click the link. There's all the information on the page, and you can sign up below for that. So again, thank you all. I hope this video was informative and helpful for some people, and I'll be seeing you all soon. Thank you.